All right, welcome back, X Squared Radio here. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew. We have been talking with Geraldine Orozco tonight. It has been completely fascinating to me. Of course, we're talking about DNA and space travel, and we're talking about communicating through dimensions. All very interesting stuff. We could spend hours and hours on it, but we don't have Geraldine for hours. We do have her for just a few more minutes. We were going to talk about the ETs that are here and what her ideas are about where they come from and how they get here, how they interacting with us physically here.
Yes, thank you, Brooks. And so I just wanted to end what we were discussing earlier. And my take on this and how I have seen is that the travel and how they communicate with us is interdimensionally. Just as we are interdimensional species, they have the ability of coming in and moving in and out of our concept of time and space. See, even our physics and our concept of reality here in this physical plane and planet Earth, I believe, is quite limited, and maybe even it's an antique way of looking at technology. These beings, these species, and I can attest to it from my personal experiences through my abduction experiences. The kind of technology that they have, the ability to move and manipulate time and space, really goes beyond any of our understanding of how that may be. And as you mentioned earlier, we have a notion of these things, and there are some theories and theoretical studies that have been done on this interdimensional travel. And I believe that we are just learning. We are learning about that. However, if we look at the technology that is running right now and the studies that our universities are doing, for example, splitting atoms and opening these spaces, this is a clear example of how portals per se, or jumps in timelines are open. We have the ability of opening those timelines, and because of that is how we can communicate and move in and out of these dimensional timelines that we are sharing with these multiple species around us. So, I believe that they are here on this planet, that they are, involved in our evolution as well on this planet, and in what we believe is our lifetime, our experiences here, and also off planet. And I believe that that's something that is occurring on multiple planets, actually, in our reality.
Well, hopefully, all the ETs that are here are good ones. If there are ones that don't have the best interest of the human race in mind, then I hope there are others that can balance that out, because we certainly can't do anything about it. I really appreciate you being on the program tonight. It's been very enlightening for me, and I've had some of the questions I've asked you have been texted to me by people that are listening and in the chat room and on my text. So you're exciting them as well, and hopefully they're all going to sign up, and we're all going to see you in Sedona in March. I appreciate it very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to be there. And I do hope to see and meet anybody there that is coming and attending the conference. Thank you so much, Brooks, for having me, and have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
All right, Earth Explorers, that was Geraldine Orozco. Her website is Geraldine Orozco. That's OROZCO. You can see it if you're listening on YouTube. It's posted right there on the website. You can see that right there, GeraldineOrozco.com. The phone lines are open. It's 213-233-3998. 213-233-3998. I'll entertain calls from anyone. I want to talk a little bit about what's going to go on in the news this week, because it's important that you know, as the forces that are trying to get a hold of the Treasury of the United States of America do battle. We already know what the outcome is going to be. We know that President Trump is going to win his battle. It's going to be won, even if they fight with everything they have, sometime around September, which is when this budget ends and the next one begins. Why they are going to go through these motions, I do not know, because I have heard it said that, it sets a bad precedent for the president to use the emergency actions to put a wall up. But this is exactly the reason why a national emergency should be declared. We are being invaded, not by another country, by 100 countries, not by one country, by 100 or more countries. Yes, they're coming in through Mexico, but they have, since the first of the year, apprehended people from more than 100 countries trying to come across the border. Just in the last few days, in one day, they fished 17 people out of the Rio Grande. Who in the world would want to come across the Rio Grande, as freezing cold as it is right now down there? But 17 people in one day. One of those people had already been deported from the United States once, had been convicted of murder, sentenced and served his time, and was deported. And he wanted to get back in the country. So it's an invasion. It's an invasion. It's not one mother that has lost children. It's 4,000 mothers that have lost children. 4,000 mothers, enough to fill a basketball stadium. It's a lot. It's an invasion, and it needs to be stopped. I don't mean stop immigration. I mean stop the invasion. We want people of merit to be able to come in this country. We need people of merit to come into this country, but not this way. So you have to wonder to yourself, why are they doing this? Because you realize that if they mount this defense, which we all expect them to do, they're going to sue. California's going to sue, and then the Democrats are going to sue, and then there's going to be individual presidential candidates that are going to sue. Why are they doing it? Well, they're doing it for selfish reasons, all of them. And the bad part is that in this next week, starting tomorrow's President's Day, but that doesn't mean anything, trust me. Starting tomorrow, the precedents that are going to be set, in other words, the die that's going to be cast in the next 7 days, has never been done before in this country. It sounds like it may accomplish some goal of theirs because it's Democrats suing Republicans. But not necessarily, because we don't always have Republican presidents. Sometimes we have a Democrat president. If we have a Democrat president, we have a socialist president, we have an independent president, guess what? The things that are going to happen starting tomorrow morning and moving on through the week are going to apply to the next presidency as well. So you have to wonder, why would they want to weaken their own future presidencies with the actions that they're about to take? Because over 60 times, actually 76 times, national emergencies have been declared by presidents since the 1960s. Once that is declared, unallocated money in the Treasury can be applied toward everything from hurricanes to border protection in other countries. In other countries, we've had national emergencies where unallocated money out of our Treasury, our taxpayer money, has been sent to other countries. And not once, ever, has a legal challenge been mounted. Not once. This is a presidential power that does not have congressional veto. It doesn't exist. It's already been shot down by the Supreme Court in the early 60s. This is something that cannot be reversed. Also, what cannot be reversed is the precedent that's going to be set this week. Now, we have individuals who are operating on behalf of the socialists. And we've talked about socialism many times on this program. Socialists always live well. They do. Just look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She put her boyfriend on salary, on congressional salary. He is receiving a salary from taxpayers, but he doesn't work for her. He does nothing. He doesn't do anything to deserve that salary. But it's okay because she is a socialist. She can take your money and give it to her friends. Socialists always live well. Socialists have the limousines. They have the jet planes. They have the vacations. They have the golf trips. They have the dresses and the gifts and the fundraisers. The socialists always have that stuff. But you won't. Your ability to travel, your ability to own property, your ability to get a quality education of your choice, your ability to get health care of your choice on your schedule, all will be gone. All of it will be gone. Those choices are made by socialists for the people living under the socialist system. Now, if you're a young person out there listening to this program, I commend you for tuning in to the one source of truth in the news. This is where the news week starts every week, Sunday night, 8 p.m. After you've been listening to repeats all weekend of Hannity and Wilkow and 24-hour news stations, you heard Chris Wallace 3 times today. How you did it, I have no idea. But you've been listening to repeat news since Friday afternoon. Until now. Sunday night begins the new, fresh news cycle. And I'm not going to talk to you about stuff that happened last week for that purpose. I'm going to talk to you about stuff that happened last week for the purpose of preparing you for what's going to happen next week. You're going to get next week's news right here tonight. I already told you that Friday, Rush Limbaugh finally said, we don't have immigration, we have an invasion. We said that on this program 6 or 7 years ago. Every single chance I get, I've been trying to explain that to you. So if you're tuned in and you're listening right now, then you're getting the truth. Because this is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. This is where the truth freaks hang out. We don't cut it. We don't dilute it. It's the straight stuff for you right here. So tomorrow morning, you're going to hear the pundits beginning with Breitbart Radio in the morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. That's pretty early. 1 a.m. Hawaii time, I think. You're going to start hearing what you heard tonight. Alex Marlowe and whatever guests he has on, they're going to repeat exactly or pretty close to what I told you tonight. When Rush Limbaugh comes on tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, he's going to be repeating what we talk about on this program tonight. When Hannity comes on tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then on his TV program that night, he's going to be talking about what we talk about on this program because this is where the news week begins. So what is going to happen with respect to this? One question. Everybody's been asking for a long, long time. Where is the justice? Well, I've asked you to have patience. During the reign of Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, we saw absolutely nothing. We heard about lots of indictments. We heard about a plan that we're supposed to follow, but it never materialized. The bad guys and bad girls walked around the planet like nothing's bothering them at all. They still flew in their airplanes. They still wrote their books. They still did their book tours. They still raised their money. And they still violated the law. As though two different justice systems exist. One for you and one for them. When is justice going to be served? This is the number one question in America. We already know when the wall's going to be built. I told you that. We already know what the legal battle is going to be and when it's going to end. You already know all that. It's going to play out. You're going to hear all the talking heads. You're going to see the play. You're going to see the movie, but you already know how it ends because I told you right here on this program. But you want to know the answer to that question. When will justice be served? Many of you are aware because you go to the Federal Register and you go to whitehouse.gov and you can see that the number of indictments is now pushing 90,000. We don't usually get that on the federal level. Normally, 1,000 or 2,000 in a year is pretty aggressive. 90,000 is completely off the charts. But keep in mind, this is not 90,000 people. This isn't 90,000 perpetrators. It's 90,000 indictments. Each indictment is for a specific crime. Each crime can be committed by the same person. One person could have 1,000 different crimes that they have committed. It could be 1,000 counts of one statute because they did it 1,000 times. In Hillary Clinton's case, of course, she deleted 30,000 classified emails. Technically speaking, that's 30,000 individual crimes, 30,000 individual fines, 30,000 different counts of the same statute, except she didn't violate one statute. She violated 12 statutes, laws on the books existing at the time that she was Secretary of State, which she violated. Many of them come with 10-year sentences. Many of them come with judgments that allow you or disallow you or forbid you from running for public office for the rest of your life. And she's not alone. James Clapper, John Brennan, Samantha Power, Valerie Jarrett, Ben Rhodes, Eric Holder. The list goes on and on and on. Hundreds and hundreds of soldiers of the deep state inside the FBI, inside the CIA, inside the State Department, inside the DOJ, inside the Democratic National Committee, Donna Brazile, Fraulein Schultz. The list goes on and on. Candidates that were never elected but still violated the law. Governors committing voter fraud. Thousands and thousands and thousands of indictments. So, we had an acting attorney general, Whitaker, formidable, powerful, did a lot of work while he was in, facilitated a lot of work. And guess how many leaks there were in the organization? 0. None from Whitaker, none from Huber, and none from Horowitz. Horowitz is the Inspector General. Huber is the attorney that's heading things up on the prosecutorial side out of Utah. He has over 300 attorneys working for him, and all of them have been busy 5 days a week minimum for the last year. So what happened this last week? What is going to happen this coming week? What happened this last week is that William Barr, who is a name most of you should know from George H.W. Bush days when he was the Attorney General, why would President Trump choose someone who worked in and around the deep state under George H.W. Bush? The answer is, I believe, he knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows who knows where all the bodies are buried. He's not a newbie from the outside. Trump doesn't have time for that. He has 21 months to make this happen. You see, you can't assume the 2020 election. You never assume the 2020 election. For a lot of different reasons, I don't even want to manifest at this moment because they're too frightening. But what you can assume is that you have tomorrow and maybe, possibly, a good chance the next day. So William Barr has been brought in. He knows the ropes. He knows what to do. He knows how to do it. He doesn't have to come up to speed. He's already at speed. He doesn't have to worry about protecting his career because he doesn't give a damn about his career. He knows where the bodies are buried, and he's not going to protect the deep state. Not going to protect the deep state. The answer to the question, when is justice going to be served? The answer is tomorrow. Tomorrow is President's Day. Tomorrow, you're going to see the indictments begin to be unsealed. Tomorrow, you're going to begin to see the basic arrests and prosecutions and sentencing take place. You have the Awan brothers. Imran Awan ran a spy ring, a cyber spy ring. He ran it inside the Democratic Party. He ran it on behalf of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton. It was not even Schultz that hired him. It was another congressman that hired him. But he's been there at exorbitant salaries and had access to every email, every text, every phone call, every record generated, every file transferred by members of the House Intelligence Committee, members of the House Armed Services Committee, which included some very, very senior Democrats, corrupt from the moment they stepped inside the Beltway. All of this information was copied and shared with Pakistan. Yeah, I'm telling you, justice begins tomorrow. Samantha Power unmasked the president's name 225 times in 1 year. She was owned by John Brennan. John Brennan made her go down to the FISA court every single weekday and unmask President Trump's name. That's why she said, don't piss off John Brennan. She knows from personal experience. But that doesn't mean she's not going to prison. Valerie Jarrett is an Iranian-born woman who traveled to Iran and negotiated on behalf of the United States, and those negotiations included transferring of illegal cash to them on pallets in the middle of the night, and lots of other things. All I can tell you is justice begins tomorrow. William Barr puts his cup holder onto the desk tomorrow, and things are going to begin happening. Now, we know that as these revenue streams are cut off, as the wall is put up, the flow of human trafficking, the flow of drugs is going to be cut off, and thus the money from that is going to be cut off, and the Democrats are going to begin to starve. We know that in a very short amount of time, Planned Parenthood is going to be cut off from federal funding. That's another revenue stream. I want you to be protected. So please go out and look for the good in people every day and help it to grow. Because if you do that, before long, you're going to save the planet and you're going to save yourself. I want you to go forth prepared, and I want you to go forth fearless. And I want you to realize that everything you do will eventually affect the universe. So do it on purpose. And we'll see you next week right here on X Squared Radio. I'm your host saying peace, Earth Explorers.